So Kenny and I for a while thought about maybe at some point teaming up. So I copyrighted a name just in case you want to use it, which is the Golden Jets. I'm sure you read about it. Somebody stooges off anything I copyright. The Golden Jets is obviously a take on the Golden Lovers, but also the Golden Jet is Bobby Hull, the greatest Winnipeg Jet of all time. Of course, we're from Winnipeg. So if you see the Golden Jets at some point, that's the reason why. That's awesome.
It was a great match tonight. And we've got questions now for Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega.
Hi, Kate from Pipeline. Congratulations on such a successful show tonight. And happy birthday, Tony, by the way.
Oh, no, I said we got a couple weeks. It's Title Tuesday.
Oh, Tim's
At 10. So. But he's got a birthday this month too.
Oh, come on now.
Both of
Keep
you
that in
having,
wraps. No one's supposed to know that stuff.
both of you having such important ties to New Japan, I just wanted your thoughts on being able to foster such a successful show tonight and what it meant to do an Antonio Inoki tribute show on the anniversary of his passing.
Chris.
Well, the times that I met Inoki, he tried to hypnotize me. And I was told just to go with it because that was his thing that he was going through at the time. So you had to pretend like you okay, when he snaps his fingers, you're like, I am a dog, I am a ghost, whatever. But Inoki, obviously a huge legend, and I think it was a great idea that Tony had to do this pay-per-view tonight. Great show. One of our all our pay-per-views are always so great, but I thought tonight's was really, really amazing. And I like the fact that it was an Inoki themed honoring show, but it wasn't like the same as
Like Forbidden Door.
like Forbidden Door. It's different from that, you know. So I just thought it was great. And obviously a great finish. I thought we had a great match. I think it's been a great couple of days for Kenny and I to kind of tell the story that we're starting to get into now. So I really enjoyed it all across the board.
Yeah, I felt that it was really nice to have full representation of not only our style, our in-house style in AEW, but they saw a real smorgasbord of all wrestling styles. I mean, there was definitely a vast difference in stylistically between what Bryan Danielson did with Zack Sabre Jr. to what we did in our match, and then what they did in the main event as well. So I always felt like, ideally, if we can run a variety pro wrestling show where everything is entertaining, but everything is different, then there will probably be more people leaving the show satisfied than not. So for us to do what we did today with a lot of international superstars and all for the memory of Antonio Inoki, who is very culturally significant to Japanese culture and even the wrestling culture, it felt like just such a great success. So I was glad to be a part of it.
Right here.
Hi guys, I'm Marco Show in 1015 Las Vegas. Guys, Adam Copeland shows up tonight, and a few years ago you guys took a chance on AEW, and now you see him come in here as well. What are you thinking about the roster and seeing him show up tonight?
I mean, I always love seeing a big name like Adam coming to AEW because if you look at the three of us at this table have been here since day one, prior to day one. We made day one happen. So, and it was such a big risk because no one knew what AEW was going to be. We didn't have TV at the time. We had no idea, but we thought we wanted to take a chance because we believed in what Tony was believing in and what we could do. And so I think after the first couple of years, especially when the pandemic was over, to see all the names that came in, it's like we paved the way and let people know it's safe to come here and it's great to come here. And I've known Adam since 1995. Like, he loves wrestling. And sometimes in other places, that love of wrestling kind of gets squashed and warped a bit, maybe. It's not like that here in AEW. And I think, once again, like when some of the other guys came, like FTR and Adam Cole and those types of guys, they couldn't believe just the difference and just the whole vibe of what we have here. And I think just talking with Adam and seeing him come out of the ring, he's super stoked and super excited, super motivated. When you're motivated, that's when great wrestlers become even better and even more legendary. And he's already a great wrestler. Like Max said, he's a first round Hall of Famer, but now that he's motivated again, like I think we're going to see maybe some of the best work Adam Copeland's ever done now here in AEW.
Couple more questions?
I think Kenny.
I mean, I can speak towards it, but what I would say, I mean, it's just as someone who grew up watching it on different programming, it's really cool to see someone come into our locker room with such a positive. Just his demeanor was incredible backstage, and you can
I
tell.
got to see the first meeting between Kenny Omega and Adam Copeland tonight. It was very cool.
Right, and for us as younger guys who maybe haven't had experience over in WWE, to meet him for the first time and see that someone who is here very much motivated, willing to contribute, and to put the best foot forward, and to probably do something that he has not done yet in his career. So he's stepping out of his comfort zone. He's willing to do things that he's never done before, and he's willing to do it with us and with a bunch of young guys. Some guys that, again, he's known in his past, like Chris Jericho, but people like myself or MJF, or people that he's never known or never met in person. So I can imagine that it's probably a very exciting time for him, and most importantly, it's exciting for the fans. So I really love that there's this variation where now you're going to see all these fresh matchups and potential feuds and angles from here on in with Adam Copeland. So it's an exciting time for all of us in the locker room, but also exciting for the fans, and that's the part that makes me most happy.
Lyrics was the monthly peer. So, Chris Jericho, you have appeared this year in PWG, Rev Pro, and it was recently announced that you will be going to DDT to face Konosuke Takeshita. Can you talk a little bit about this crazy run going places that you've never been before? And for Kenny, I know that earlier this year you faced Will Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom, and obviously you lost him at Forbidden Door. So can we expect to see you back in New Japan, or possibly making a return to DDT at any time?
I can start.
To me, like, I think since AEW started, like, I had kind of a pact with myself that I wouldn't work anywhere other than for Vince. And then when the New Japan opportunity to work with Kenny came up, that was like a whole new world. And then when we started with AEW with Tony, then suddenly, like, there's so many cool places to go and work. I've never been to PWG, and I always kind of thought, well, what is it all about? And it was just a perfect night with Danny Garcia bringing the Jericho Appreciation Society in there. Great surprise for the fans, attacking Ospreay in London at Rev Pro. Great surprise for the fans. Lights go out when Takesha's in the ring at Korakuen Hall last week, and Jericho video comes up. It's a surprise for the fans. I like doing cool things that keep people excited about what I'm doing and keep people entertained, and doing things that nobody else expects. I kind of really made a name for that. So yeah, I'm excited to work with DDT. Tony obviously gave me his blessing. I want to go back to Japan. I mean, Kenny and I had such a great run in New Japan. Between the two of us, we headlined 3 Tokyo Domes 3 years in a row. He did 2, I did 2, and I missed that. The pandemic kind of screwed that up, so I'm really excited to go back to Japan. I mean, my first tour, I was 20 years old, 1991, so anytime I get a chance to go there, especially against the talent, Konosuke Takeshita, one of our greatest wrestlers here in AEW right now. So to be in his home turf, so to speak, with a new company, and I've been to the Sumo Arena probably, 3 dozen times at this point, but I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Speaking of Takeshita and big matches, we spoke earlier before I came in here. You requested a match for this Wednesday in Stockton, California, coming out of tonight, and it sounds like a great match, so I'm going to book the match, and it's going to be Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita and Sammy Guevara this Wednesday on Wednesday Night Dynamite. I thought the match tonight was excellent, and I look forward to a great tag team match this Wednesday to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of Wednesday Night Dynamite. Very fitting to me that on the very first episode of Dynamite, you two are on opposite sides, and you and Sammy, of course, aligned that night on the first episode, and here we are. You two are together. Takeshita, someone you brought into AEW standing opposite you, and Sammy Guevara, someone you brought into AEW standing opposite you. And it's a bit of rivalry. It should be a great match to celebrate 4 years of Dynamite that you've both been a part of every step of the way.
Yeah, I'm excited for that match, and I do think it's fitting as well. I really feel that we've got something special here, Chris. The chemistry we have between one another, and I never would have thought that that'd be possible. I always thought that my greatest magic would be standing opposite from you, but it seems that when we're on the same side, we've got some sort of je ne sais quoi
Winnipeg, man.
Yeah,
Can't grow up in Winnipeg with ice and snow and not have some sort of a connection.
That's right. But to answer your question, Japan, of course, is like a second home. So there's always like it's a feeling of like longing when I haven't been there for a long time. I try to get out when I can, and I try to have some sort of business connection to it as much as I can. Of course, I still have friends there, people that I regard almost as like distant family members. And my time in New Japan too, it was some of the greatest moments of my life, and some of the most proudest work of my life. And like Chris had said, between the two of us, we did 3 taken on main events each in the span of 3 years, 3 or 4 years it was. So, the match catalog is there. It's work that I can always look back at fondly, relationships and stuff that I can look back at as very fond memories. And I've luckily been able to bring some of that back here to AEW, and I'm glad we can see Ibushi here. I'm glad that now that AEW is its own sort of existence, I'm able to go back not only for New Japan, but there are opportunities as well, just like Chris, to go back to TDT. Again, that's the first promotion that took a chance on me. And that was the first place to accept me as me, and they allowed me the conduit for my own creative freedom and to kind of design and create this Kenny Omega character, which then evolved into the Cleaner, which then evolved into the Best Bout Machine and all that sort of stuff. So it was a great starting block to really build on myself. And then again, when it was time to see, when it felt like I had sort of grown, when I felt that there was stones left unturned, when it was time to take a chance again on myself, it allowed me to build up the confidence to really believe in myself and in Tony and in Chris and AEW, and thus, we've created something pretty wonderful that people, again, like Adam Copeland, believes in as well. So, again, I'm very proud of my time there, but I'm also proud that it was able to lead into something that I'm very proud of here. So, will I be willing to go back? Do I hope to go back? Of course, all the time, every year. But first and foremost, I'm really trying to do what I can for the incredible athletes and superstars that are here in AEW today.
Nick Hart from BodySun.net. I was curious about when it comes to Ibushi. There was a long time where you guys weren't able to wrestle together.
Yeah.
And I feel like every interview with you guys, people were asking about them. So now that you've wrestled with him a couple times, I just want to get your thoughts on how that's been and if we can expect to see more of him in AEW.
I believe it's definitely a safe bet to say he will be back. Ibushi and I, we've really gone through the ringer. We've been tossed into the meat grinder. Part of the reason why I was really motivated to go to TDT in the first place was because of Kota Ibushi. I really felt attracted to his style, and I really felt attracted to his outlook on professional wrestling. So we've really done everything that we could to just leave it all out there, and we've broken ourselves over and over and over and over and over again just to build ourselves back up, to break each other down again. So I really feel like when there was no one else around us in our pursuit of our own personal best, we were each other's shoulders to cry on, and it really means a lot that now, after all this time apart, that we can, in our current old man broken states, that we can still be there to support each other, still train together for these matches, and then still be able to go in front of a packed house, in front of with people like Chris, as our partner, and make a little more magic.
He had a great time, and he kept saying thank you during the match. Thank you. You like it? You did? Yeah, man. We're only 10 minutes in.
So I feel like it's just, we're making up for a lot of lost time, and but it's just great that not only the friendship, of course, and the relationship, the personal relationship will never die. That won't be a thing. But to be in a professional environment with him again is it's just great. And I love being able to travel on the road with him again, train with him again, and all that sort of stuff. It's wonderful. So I think it's probably safe to say he'll be back. Yes.
Yes.
That's great. Great. Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Final question for Kenny and Chris.
Kevin Hughes with Defy Wrestling. So I have a question for both Chris and for Kenny. We've seen MJF was talking about how there was an embarrassment of riches with this insanely stacked roster. We're seeing the rise of Swerve right now. There's people that are really rising up, and if each of you could maybe pinpoint one wrestler that might not be getting the title shots these days, but whether you are taking them under your wing or you're just keeping your eye on them, who's one wrestler in the locker room that you think has a bright future?
I mean, I think there's so many wrestlers that have a bright future. That's one of the things that we concentrated on from day one, was building as many homegrown AEW stars as we could, because you couldn't just have Chris Jericho do it every night, or Kenny Omega. I think we've done such a great job with it tonight. Darby Allin in the main event, It's the same reason why the Inner Circle was started, and why the Jericho Appreciation Society was started. And we've got stories going with a lot of these guys. I think if I have to pick one, I think one of the guys we're going to be focusing on that's going to be part of some of the stories upcoming is Danny Garcia. I think he's got something very special. I didn't know at first anything really about him. And when Tony and I put together the JAS, I was like, all right, well, the story dictates it. As we started working together, fuck, he's good, man. He's another guy who's only 22 or 23. And wrestling is fine. You guys know my opinion on matches are great, but his character, his understanding of the business, his willingness to do whatever needs to be done to get to the next level, that's what wrestling is, And he's got that. So I'm really looking forward to expanding his role here in AEW in the best possible way with the stories that we're telling.
Yeah, I mean, it's odd that you brought up Big Swerve's name is the first name.
Yeah.
In a long list of incredible talented performers that we have backstage. And I've always been a huge Swerve fan, and I remember just making a point after many of his performances to kind of, tap him on the shoulder, like, dude, like,
Yeah.
what you did out there was really incredible tonight. Like, I don't know if you need to hear it from me. Like, probably not. Don't feel free to not pay attention to these. But if it does mean anything, like, I think you're great, and I really hope that we can do something at some point down the line in the future. And he's just, again, a real humble dude. Always willing to do what's right. He's got a great attitude, and clearly, if you saw his performance today and you've seen his performances lately, he's a guy that works very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never feel like you've been slighted or you never got your money's worth.
And he knows who he is as a character.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, like, there are a slew of talents who understand the business and will always do what's asked of them, no questions asked. And there are guys like, Butcher Blade, Kip Sabian, who show up every single week and they're doing the right thing. And when they have their entrance and they come out, I see, like, these guys look like wrestlers, these guys look like ass kickers. And then they go out, and maybe they won't win, maybe they won't. But they understand how the business works, how it operates, and they're always the guys that we can count on. We have an incredible roster of people we can count on. And again, as a huge fan of women's wrestling, of course, anytime the women can show out, I'm super happy for it. Like, recently, we've seen Julia really
she's
her own.
great.
She's just looking incredible. She's performing incredibly well. Feeling more comfortable in her own skin. The character work has been impeccable. Looks more comfortable in the ring too. So I see things like that. It just brings a smile on my face. I mean, I'd love to see more people like that get more time and to be able to show what they can do, because the roster we've assembled, every single one of them, if given the opportunity, can steal the show. And I think you're going to be surprised with a lot of people moving forward. Like you said, it's not always going to be the Chris Jericho show, the Kenny Omega show, the Daniel Bryan show, Bryan Danielson show. It definitely won't be the Daniel Bryan one. Ever. Probably. The Bryan Danielson one will be. Like I said, Darby Allin in the main event. And the thing is, no one looks at that card and goes, why is Darby in the main event? No, they get it. Because every single one of our athletes can main event a card. It's not going to look out of place. And I'm happy to be the guy that can help show people what they're capable of. In fact, I've taken a lot of pride being that person lately, because I think maybe even the wrestlers themselves sometimes don't want to admit their own potential. And but if you're kind of forcing the spotlight on them, they have no choice but to take the ball and run with it. And I think every single one of our guys are very capable of it, and I'm willing to back that statement 100,000%. I think no matter who's in the main event, no matter who works with who, there's definitely potential for an incredibly interesting story and a lot of matchmaking opportunities. And again, as pay-per-views go on and as the shows go on, we're just seeing more and more added to the roster, and more potential interesting matches and dream matches to erupt from it. Again, I mean, everyone probably already kind of creating their dream match list for Adam Copeland, which is great. I love seeing that, and I love people, having friendly conversations with each other as to what would you like to see this person do, what would you like to see this person do next, or who would you like to see step into the spotlight next. This is all great, and I love that no two answers are ever really going to be the same, and I think that's it's one of the biggest positives to a roster, but also it's tough too, because you can't always see everyone that you like. But we're always going to do our best to show what we're made of, and I just feel like you haven't really seen anything yet. There's no way our product can ever really get stale, because as soon as one person steps out of the spotlight, or has to, unfortunately injuries happen, or life happens, we have someone who's ready, willing, and able to step right into that spot, and they're going to nail a home run. That's one of the greatest parts of being in AEW, one of the greatest parts of when I'm not performing, to be able to sit and watch the monitor and go, these guys are killing it. And that's how I feel when I watch every pay-per-view. Just our pay-per-views are so fun to watch, and I feel that as a fan, even when I'm on the show, I try to watch as much as possible. Maybe I should be focusing more on what we need to do in the ring. Maybe that explains my win-loss record lately. But it's great. It's great to not only be able to contribute, but to be able to be a fan again in our locker room.
Thank you, Kenny.
I'd like to thank you both, and I'm excited for your match this Wednesday at the 4th anniversary of Dynamite.
Yes.
We're going to celebrate 4 great years thanks to both of you.
Thank you very much, everyone.